Yeah, so next up, we've got the quick and boosting drama. Speaking of being tired, fuck me, this was a tiring subject. I think my overall thing here is, this, I mean, unfortunately, would be something I'd apply to a lot of the high-end community who responded to this. Come on, guys, there's more to the game than just you guys, and please think about complex systems and unpriced negative externalities, because those are a large thing within boosting. Also, yes, boosting has always happened. Right now, it is a few things, like it's the magnitude. It is also the big annoyance of it, you know, being everywhere. And it's just overall the prevalence. And also, more importantly, it's less about kill boosting, which, by the way, like we did not advocate for in our videos about boosting. It's less about that, and it's more that if boosting is on the rise, what does that tell you about the accessibility of going up the difficulty curve in the game? What does that tell you about how people are experiencing the game content, right? So if boosting is rising up to fill a need, then why does that need exist? And is it good for the game that that need exists? And yeah, it's always existed, but the degree to which it exists will be quite useful. You know, understanding that will be quite useful when it comes to, you know, just diagnosing issues with the game, right? So, you know, it's a multifactorial thing. Again, this is a study of a complex system. So it's not just, you know, you and someone else. It's far, far, far larger. So basically, Mike Ybarra tweeted saying, likely streaming our heroic SOD sales run and Hayasham Plus tonight, starting at 5 p.m. PT. And, you know, yeah, there was responses. And, you know, a lot of this is like, I think, because my thing is, I don't think that the boosting is great for the game. I think a lot of people were like super angry at Ybarra. Yeah. I think that the most that I'd said with that was that I thought, you know, I thought that given the players, that this was a hot topic thing for the players, you know, I said that like I chose to believe that Ybarra is like literally just saying this as a player who is streaming the game, not as a co-lead who is like saying, oh, this is a design thing that we should have. But I think a lot of people were like, oh my, you know, they were very vitriolic towards him. Yeah. Which, you know, that's when I'm like a little bit more here with Towley, where it's like, wait, this is what people are upset about. Sale run, literally every Mythic Heroic raid guild has been doing these since the beginning of the game. Is this what we're raging at on Monday? What I'd say there with the Towley thing is, you know, it's like how it's happening in the modern context of the game, and especially when, you know, the just the amount of things you got to grind out, the sort of homework they make you do for your character. Very different to a Warlords of Draenor raid experience where, you know, you log in your raid, done, happy. So it's the sort of the changing context of that. I think there was just a lot of going in way too hard on Ybarra in a way that I think, you know, just not particularly useful. And at least from the perspective of like our boosting content, which some people said we were being roasted on. I couldn't find much roasting, to be honest. It's not about blaming the people who are doing the runs. They're merely providers in a market with supply and demand. Overall, we are saying that the prevalence or like, you know, rise of the boosting sector of the WoW economy perhaps indicates a fundamental issue with it as a game. And that's the lens through which we look at it. So it is a logically, like if we were doing sale runs, that would still be logically consistent with our video because it's an overall systemic thing. It's not saying, we now call for everyone to stop boosting. No, our whole friggin' point was that it's annoying how boosting clogs everything up. And also, is there anything Blizzard can learn from the prevalence of boosting? Are there reasons? You know, it's like the Great Vault. Does that make people feel like they need to do some things boosted? You know, other things that can be perhaps barriers to gameplay, stuff like that. Are these things that maybe increase the prevalence, you know, of boosting? And, you know, if you're in a situation where it's like, well, there's always some people who just want to, you know, get the paid tourist mode, but there's a lot of other people who will go in boosting because, like, the situation with pugs is terrible. And then you try to do a more complex and in-depth analysis of this, and you're like, okay, well, actually, is the boosting market basically undercutting the regular pug market? You know, it's when you get into these more complex things that we actually are able to talk about boosting as an overall thing going on in the game in a way that is far less pointed at specific individuals. Because there's a bunch of people who watched our boosting videos and thought we were basically salesmen.
Yeah.
Because you had to be real. If you are getting a Mythic Plus or Sanctum of Domination boost from Ybarra and his guild, you're going to have a great time.
Yep.
You're going to get the fucking concierge VIP experience. And it's going to be a good experience. It's just, is it a signifier of something?
Yeah, it's something to do with how winning's the only valid use of your time, succeeding's the only valid use of your time. It has to be guaranteed. So many hundreds of different factors take it into account, and I think that it's like the holistic point of view of, okay, let's look at this from every possible angle and identify the impact it has, is detached from any one specific perspective. Because obviously, like what THD says, which is, blah, blah, blah. You're not going to catch any reasonably good player spend 10 hours farming instead of 1 hour doing a run. And it's like, you can see where the value's there. But if you look at boosting outside of that lens and look at it from, well, what does it actually do? Is this activity that is positive for you harmful to the game on the long scale and a long scope study? Then we'll have to do something about the fact you need to spend 10 hours farming.
Yeah.
Instead of 1 hour doing runs.
Basically, we are not at all thinking about boosting as players. We are thinking about it as, like, I guess, would-be architects or something.
Yeah, as a system.
Yeah, like, it's an analysis of systems. So that's why I see so much of this, and I'm just like, I mean, yeah, cool, but irrelevant. Kind of irrelevant to the point. It's like, yeah, this is your personal experience, and that's the case.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all unpriced negative externalities, right? So an externality, that is like a... you can maybe say a sort of a second order effect of the thing that you're doing that's kind of like more external to you. Negative. It's a net negative, even though it might be good to you. Unpriced. There is a price, but nobody's really paying it. And in this case, it's like incredible if you are like there within that market. But as an example, if less experienced people are going into the pug queue, that there's a negative externality there.
Yeah.
And if you look at this, overall, it's like, well, why are people feeling like they need more boosts?
Yeah.
And then there's also, as somebody pointed out, there's this thing in PvE, then boom, PvP.
PvP is
different kettle of fish.
Yep, 100%.
Way more damaging in PvP.
Yeah.
And there's also some things like, saying that this is, I don't know who said it. I mean, yeah, I'm going to go to the,
What are you looking for?
the power of Scribe and Noggy. Like, fuck yeah. But anyway.
Yeah.
That may be just because they're more agreeable to us.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I kind of struggled with there. I was going to say Scribe has a really good take on it. It's largely one I agree with from what I found and what I think. But it's also just like that's basically, to sum it up, that's kind of what I think as well. It's not horrible. Should you be forced to do it? No. Something feels off about it. Should maybe try to look at it. That's basically where the investigation started from. It's like, this smells a bit fishy. Should we maybe see if there's a dead fish lying under this kind of thing?
Yeah, that's what he says. It's not don't stop boosting. Remove the incentives to boost and to get boosted.
Yeah.
And those are different things. So one of those is going after people doing a thing, and the other one is tweaking the knobs of the system and the design of the system such that the system produces less boosting activity.
Yeah.
Because that's more healthy for the game overall.
Yeah.
And there's some other things, like people saying that buying auction house stuff is the same as boosting. And I can understand how you would think that.
In principle.
But also, World of Warcraft is not a virtual... It's not meant to be a 100% virtual economy with a full goods and services sector.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be that. It's a video game. And then you have to work out what parts of economic activity within this are the most conducive for the design of our video game. And that's where that argument starts to crumble, in my view.
Yeah, so what do the players want people to actually be doing? Well, they've designed a bunch of M+ and raid content. That's difficult. You would suspect you'd want them to do that. That's what the game clearly is about. So obviously, if you look at the game as like, if you look at it in kind of real life, you're like, well, obviously, you pay an electrician to do the electrics in your house because you're not going to go learn that to do that. But that's the point of the video game, is to do that. So it kind of falls apart in that kind of sense as well. Oh, there's something else. I can't remember what it was. Just something
for
about
Noggy's tweet, like boosting sucks. There's a reason it's banned in other games. I wish it was not a thing. The importance of gold in WoW makes people participated, and yes, it does hurt others. Blizzard should have enough resources to enforce a new stance against boosting. I mean, damn. I wouldn't go as far to ban it. I think that like that's a really hard way to, if you're going to say the boosting is a problem, that's a hard way to solve it. I'd kind of be like, how do we think about like, why do people not feel like they can succeed in the game in their own terms? Because that might be why they're boosting. And if we can change that, then instead of just seeing a need, then seeing a need be fulfilled and crushing the ability to fulfill that need, you instead work on the root problem, which is that need.
Yeah, it's like you don't...
Although I would say spamming, we need way more fucking resources to take out spamming.
That's one of the problems. It's like, if you look at people are like, oh, well, boosting's fine, then boosting's fine as it is. My answer to that is trade chat usable? Like, to developers, is trade chat usable? No. Would anyone use it for anything else? I don't know anymore. But you look at other games, trade chats, people are talking about things. Especially, well, New World was new, so that's a bit different. But New World, people were using chat as a very engaging way. In this sort of the way it was used back in the day in World of Warcraft, but that's because boosting and advertising wasn't a thing, and now it's jammed by that, and it's also jammed by that using automated systems. So, you know, that's a problem that needs considered. But it was I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been THD talking about the token as part of it, and saying that it's good for him because he doesn't spend any money on Blizzard stuff. So he's put $0 into it in years because of it. And the one thing, and this is where you have to remember the token's incentive.
Shit's bigger than you, buddy.
Yeah, well, for a start, that's all fair for you, but the problem there is, now if this were a one-to-one transaction, I'd be more okay with it, because him doing a service and someone else paying for him is sort of okay, relatively speaking. Maybe boosting his problems there, but generally speaking, it's okay. But then you look at the financial incentive for Blizzard, because someone's buying a $20 token and exchanging it for his $15 sub.
Yeah.
Which means he's getting $15 worth of something to him. Someone else is getting $20 to them of value for them from him, and the other $5 is going to Blizzard. Which means that for every sub that is bought with a token instead of money, that's an extra $5 to Blizzard.
Yeah. And we're not saying that Blizzard making $5 is the problem.
Yeah.
We're saying that the ability to make $5 via that sets up a system of bad incentives that could deprioritize solving certain problems.
Yep.
I mean, how can you look at a modern Assassin's Creed game where they will sell like a double boost, a double gold boost, and a double XP boost, and not think that there is an incentives problem in how that game is tuned?
Yeah.
Especially when they feel really grindy, as if those numbers should be larger by default.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing. You're like, one side, you've added time savers. Other side, players are complaining about their time feeling not respected. Any links at all? Maybe. Just maybe.
Yeah.
It's
incredible. I've actually worked it out, Matt.
Yeah.
We're going to publish 2 versions of our game.
Mm-hmm.
Version 1, I'm just going to get Thomas to double the script. It's going to have the exact same information. The text is going to scroll a bit slower, but will just vastly decrease the quality of writing.
Okay.
And you'll make it more needlessly verbose.
Yes.
Loads of passive tense. Loads of passive voice. It's going to be incredible. But I will sell you then the Blinkist DLC. Where, as a time saver, every dialogue box is just a quick summary of the story, right? It makes it so much faster. Zoom through it. It's just a time saver, bro. It's just a time saver.
Get the cliff notes.
Now, that is fucking reducing the problem to a complete absurdity in a narrative game. You can certainly feel it so much more in a game like this, though, where it's all like deeply tied into the mechanics and the progression. And it's like, you have all those things about like the gold and token and stuff. And like, sure, fine. THD doesn't have to buy loads of token. I mean, yeah, he probably has plenty of gold playing in a fucking Rockstar guild, doing really cool shit. And more power to them for that. But a lot of regular people engaging in the World of Warcraft economy, they felt like they had to buy a token or two for their Legos.
Yep.
And for every single token that was sold because of a legendary, that's $5 more to Blizz.
Mm-hmm.
And people, have multiple legendaries sometimes. You can't say that there is not a incentives problem here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And oh damn, Alberto dropped us a critical hit sticker. Good typing, man. Yep. But hopefully that was a critical hit on the argument. Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Man, yeah, it's some funny stuff when we get into boosting and everything.
I can't wait. There's going to be a day at some point where I can stop thinking about it.
I
don't know when that day is going to be. Not anytime soon. I can assure you that. But there'll be a day it won't pass my mind. And I'll go, today felt a little bit brighter.
Yeah, I think just a lot of these things. Sometimes you have to work out when do you shift gears into individual. This is my experience as a player and what I'm doing. Or when do you shift gears into a different, sort of more like, broad, cold, analytical mode? And it's just all the different lenses that you can use to sort of look at problems and try to work them out. That's what it's all about in boosting. I think we've really said what we've done a few little responses here, but you guys know what we think.
Yeah.
And the end of our video was basically, okay, look, if this is going to be in the game, give us a channel for it to happen in or something, and then ban the fuck out of it from everywhere else.
Yeah.
Just so that the rest of the game, like boosting can happen, but you don't have to see it. Now that said, there still is loads of incentive problems there.
Yep.
That would solve a usability issue with the game, but there'd be loads of incentive issues that Blizzard would need to work on. And frankly, I think a way for this to be better is if there's just more ways to progress your character. If there is, if there's more ways to progress your character that are horizontal in nature, not just gear, all of that stuff, that's what makes it better.
Yeah, so I guess that's to say people might be boosting because they want to do the content, but they don't enjoy the skill-based aspect of it or any of the other aspects of it.
Bit. They don't want to be waiting for their weekly bing wahoo box.
So maybe they'll be better purchased doing something else. There is a slight downside, is that will make Blizzard less money, but it's nothing.
Yeah, well, look at it this way. I could get, let's just say I got a heroic boost with funnel.
Yeah.
Right? Got heroic boost with funnel. What'll that get me? 10 bits a gear?
Maybe, probably.
10, 11 bits a gear?
Yeah.
So you're saying that for however much that costs, let's just say it's would that be $1 million gold?
No idea. Maybe. Depends on, I think it largely depends on your, largely depends on.
I'll see what Hokan's pricing is.
Yeah.
Actually, they were total ledges. They were great having a chat with us for the boosting video. Because we probably weren't doing a big hit piece in boosting when we actually talked to loads of boosting services and loads of people accused us of basically selling boosts.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where I didn't want to make a hit piece without any evidence because that's not right to do.
Yeah.
But it's also why I didn't believe what they said at first glance. When they provided evidence, they're like, yeah, here's the evidence. Okay, sweet. You've said that to be true. You've shown it to be true. But, without doing extremely deep investigative journalism, it's hard to get any evidence on anything wrongdoing, especially when people's finances are involved.
They only have Castle Nathria.
I think their website's not updated versus Discord.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
going to. How much does it cost to get a heroic Sylvanas with loot funnel all the way through? But whatever it is, right? Like however much money that would cost, that would be 10 bits of gear for my character.
Yeah.
That could cut off 3 weeks, 4 weeks of regular progression. You could just get in 1 week.
Yep.
I mean, I'm like, imagine you are feeling left behind. You can just do that and get 4 weeks of loot progression in 1 week and then get a full raid Great Vault.
Yeah. Sick.
I mean, that is providing you with some serious value as a player. it's got to get you caught right up with all your friends, and then you can hop into your guild and away you go, right?
Yeah.
Because not every guild is going to be able to just go and do a full loot funnel run for you. And frankly, it's probably more economically efficient to go do it with the pros who can, have these incredibly complex, setups and, teams and management, Discord bots and like all that genuinely cool shit that they're able to do.
Yeah, like you're in and out a couple hours. You've got as many funnels as you can have the money to pay for, and you're sorted.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple things to say, 400k with 100k, 400k with 140k per funnel, or 600k and 200k per funnel. Because obviously it depends on server, faction, all that stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of that changes, but it's just go for it. There you go.
Yeah.
It's the most efficient. It's the best way to play the game effectively. If you assume playing the game is going for the rewards that is there, or earning the rewards that are there, maybe you're earning them by paying for them, but I think that's a lot of how people generally work, because you can't earn everything. Like if I want a nice car, I don't go build a nice car because that's a lifetime of work. I would go buy a car. So money is earning in that sense. So that goes over to World of Warcraft fairly handily. The rule book's different because we all enter the sort of the unwritten social contract that, no, this is a video game. We're all going to try and be earnest and honest in it, as opposed to buying our progress. But
it's just that WoW token can sort of undercut a bunch of this.
Because it's
because you could say that like the way for, I don't know, want to buy gold, not using him as an example or saying that he boosts, all I know is he's really fucking rich in game. It's the whole thing of his channel. So let's just say he's super rich in game.
Yeah.
And like he goes, buys a few boosts, and then his character is geared. And it's geared because he's been a big economy man. And you could say, well, that's fair enough. Is that buying power? Yeah, but it's buying power with gold that you rightfully earned in the game.
Yeah.
But as soon as token comes in, well, then you can shortcut earning the gold by paying for somebody else's subscription.
Yeah.
And then you can almost like kind of like jump the queue, So, yeah. Anyway, boosting. Done.